Family and loved ones have finally been able to farewell murder victim Julian Story, remembering the Port Lincoln local as a talented musician with a caring spirit.
A private service held today, weeks on from the discovery of his body after allegedly being killed by his reality TV star girlfriend.
Julian Story today remembered for more than his tragic end.
We are about to dive into a case that feels like a script from a Hollywood thriller, but the details are chillingly real. For those who remember, Tamika Cheser was once known for her on-screen charm. She was a contestant on the show Beauty and the Geek, which aired back in 2009. But today, her name is back in the headlines for something far darker. She stands accused not only of murdering her boyfriend, 39-year-old Julian Story, but of a brutal act of decapitation. For weeks, investigators across Port Lincoln were locked in an extensive search across bushes, parks, and even underwater with dive teams. The trail had gone cold, and there was no sign of Julian's decapitated head. The hope of finding it was fading. But then everything changed. In late July, police confirmed a major breakthrough in this horrific case. A shocking discovery was made in a remote scrub area, a place that was not in view of the public or nearby any walking paths. A human skull was found, and police believe they are the remains of Julian Story. This shocking discovery is turning the case upside down and promises to be a crucial development that could make or break this investigation. This is a story of how a seemingly normal person can allegedly commit such an unspeakable act, and how one crucial piece of evidence lost for weeks suddenly re-emerged to bring a measure of truth to the chaos. This is how a former reality TV contestant became an accused killer, and we are going to break down every chilling detail. To understand this case, we have to go back to a different time. You might remember Tamika Cheser as one of the beauties from Season 2 of Australia's Beauty and the Geek, a show about quirky competitions and makeovers. She was known for her on-screen charm. She was just 20, a cocktail waitress when she joined the cast and made it all the way to the finale. But after her brief reality TV fame, she moved into modeling and launched an OnlyFans account, mostly fading from the spotlight. This is the woman the world knew. But in her small coastal town of Port Lincoln, a different picture began to emerge. A local resident, Kieran Terrell, who knew Tamika fairly well, described her as someone who initially was really bubbly but then turned out to be very weird. And then there was the man at the center of this tragedy, Julian Story. According to a local service station owner, Harry Singh, Julian was a regular customer. But for him, the story of Julian was one of a regular offender. In a calm and deliberate manner, Harry Singh painted a picture of a man who was struggling and whose actions were known to the community. He noted that Julian was mentally unstable, and his mental capacity is not that good. He described how Julian would regularly take items like Red Bulls, chips, and Monster drinks. The service station owner and his employees repeatedly called the police and sent them video and photo footage, but according to him, no action has ever been taken. This detail of a community pleading for help with no resolution casts a long and dark shadow over what was to come. It's a tragic subplot that shows how a series of small, ignored incidents could have contributed to a larger, unimaginable catastrophe. Julian's devastated family was aware of his struggles, but they could never have imagined the gruesome circumstances that would surround his death. He and Tamika had been in a relationship for about 6 months. The question that haunts this narrative is, what went so terribly wrong inside their apartment that a reality TV star, a woman known for her charming public image, would allegedly commit such a brutal, unspeakable act against the man in her life? The horror began on the afternoon of June 19th around 3:30 p.m. The setting was an apartment in Port Lincoln, a small coastal town in South Australia. Neighbors had noticed smoke coming from inside the unit. According to court documents, one witness spotted Tamika Cheser outside the apartment and asked what was going on. She allegedly replied, "Nothing," then calmly locked the front door and took her dogs for a walk. This seemingly placid act in the face of an unfolding emergency would become a chilling detail in the investigation. Concerned, the witness entered the apartment through the back door. What they found in the bathroom was a pile of smoldering rags and clothing, which they quickly put out with water. But what investigators discovered next, buried beneath that charred debris, was far more disturbing than a small fire. Beneath the burnt material were human remains, charred, disfigured, and partially destroyed. Police confirmed that the victim was 39-year-old Julian Story, Tamika's boyfriend of about 6 months. But the horror did not end there. Julian's body had been dismembered, and his head was missing. Police believe the murder likely occurred around midnight on June 17th, nearly 2 full days before the fire was reported. As the police would later tragically state, they had not recovered the head of Julian Story. The grim reality of dismemberment added a new horrifying layer to the crime, setting the stage for an extensive and desperate search. Police dive teams, officers, and search parties would spend weeks combing through the Port Lincoln area in a race against time and the elements. And yet, when police arrived on the scene, they found Tamika reportedly sitting silent in a garden chair, completely unresponsive. Officers described her as being in a catatonic state. According to documents reviewed by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, catatonia is a severe neuropsychiatric condition that disrupts a person's movement, awareness, and ability to respond to their surroundings. The Cleveland Clinic describes it as a state where someone may appear awake, but is completely unresponsive. People in this state might remain frozen in rigid or unusual postures, or stop speaking entirely. This bizarre, unresponsive state from the primary suspect would add another complex and unsettling layer to an already disturbing case. It left investigators with a chilling silence and a daunting search for a missing head and other crucial evidence. With the head missing, police launched an extensive search. They scoured Port Lincoln's parks, piers, and bushes. For weeks, there was no sign of Julian's decapitated head. This was a grim search, in a race against the elements and time itself. The hunt for Julian's remains was one of the most exhaustive in recent memory, spanning vast areas of the coastal town and its rugged terrain. Police dive teams sifted through the shallows along the foreshore, and officers combed through every area of interest. This was a search of immense proportions, a massive needle in an incredibly massive haystack. As one expert on the case noted, finding something the size of a skull in thick brush and mud, in an area that covers miles, is incredibly difficult. The coastal environment only intensified the problem. The tidal waters changing dramatically every 12 hours, constantly displaced any potential evidence. Advanced technology like drones and radar were considered, but the ever-shifting landscape made them largely ineffective. The investigation continued, and officers searching a nearby area discovered several discarded items. An Elvis Presley t-shirt, a drink bottle, and a wristband were found partially hidden in the underbrush. Both Tamika and Julian were apparently known Elvis fans, a detail that added possible significance to the find. These items were submitted for forensic testing and DNA analysis, a crucial step to link the victim and the suspect to a specific location and time. But despite these promising discoveries, the trail seemed to go cold. More than a month after Julian's remains were first found, police officially called off their search on July 24th. A superintendent told reporters that investigators had exhausted all areas of interest and had no further leads on the missing head. It was a grim turning point in an already disturbing case. The search had failed. The family was left without a crucial piece of Julian, and the police were left with no further leads on the head. The entire community was forced to accept a disturbing truth. The hunt was over. While the search for the head stalled, police were piecing together the suspect's movements in the days leading up to the killing. Since Tamika doesn't drive, investigators believe she may have traveled on foot to dispose of the evidence. They released CCTV footage showing her walking her dogs during a critical window, hoping someone in the community might recognize her. Retired police commander Mike King weighed in on the significance of this. He stated that a digital trail, likely from her cell phone, would show her leaving the home. He added that if this was a concerted effort to piece by piece remove that body from the house and throw it out into the brush, it could be a very telling sign. The discovery of several discarded items a month after the crime adds to this theory. An Elvis Presley t-shirt, a drink bottle, and a wristband were found partially hidden in underbrush. Both Tamika and Julian were reportedly Elvis fans, adding a macabre significance to the find. Forensic testing and DNA analysis on these items would be absolutely reliable and could prove a critical link in the case. And then there was the strange behavior. When police arrived, they found her in a catatonic state. It's a severe neuropsychiatric condition that disrupts a person's movement and awareness, making them appear awake but completely unresponsive. It's a state commonly linked to conditions like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. This chilling detail of her being frozen and silent left investigators with more questions than answers. Her own family confirmed their concerns. Tamika's sister, speaking to a news outlet, said she had started getting worse and had been in and out of mental health facilities. She said that wasn't the Tamika anyone knows. The sister also recalled that her final communications with Tamika were simply her telling everyone that she loves them. While the sister's words paint a picture of a woman in crisis, a police expert suggests this could be more complex. They allege that while she may claim mental illness, a concerted effort to hide evidence shows she understood what she did was wrong, and she's trying to get away with it. This behavior, according to the expert, is so much more powerful than just a claim that she might be mentally ill. Then, just 1 week later, on July 30th, everything changed. A routine dog walk brought the case to its most pivotal moment. Tyson McCollum, a Port Lincoln local, was out walking his 2 beagles along the popular Parnkala walking trail. It was here, in the midst of a seemingly normal afternoon, that one of his dogs suddenly veered off the main track and went into the scrub. McCollum followed his dog, and that's when he made the chilling find. He told a news outlet, "I just went in a bit closer and kind of made the connection pretty quickly as to what I thought it was. It was kind of just like, no way, like it's not what I think it is, like no, surely not, but it was just too coincidental." The discovery was a human skull, the very remains police had been searching for weeks. A press conference was held where the superintendent made a major announcement. Police had received information from a member of the public in Port Lincoln that they had located what appeared to be a human skull. This was in a scrub area that was not in view of the public or nearby to any walking paths. Most importantly, it was an area that had not previously been searched by police and was not an area of interest to police. The grim find brought some much-needed closure to the community. The public once again played a crucial role in an ongoing investigation. One expert on the case remarked that this is often how such grim discoveries are made, through somebody stumbling across it. The long, fruitless search was finally over, but in its place, a new and even more complex investigation would begin. This shocking find brought a new wave of information and new questions about how the head was disposed of. An expert on the case wondered why the head was placed in the ocean, possibly in hopes of taking advantage of the tidal influence. The location near a really long pier was deemed significant, as it was a perfect place for someone to walk out and displace the head. This grim truth, however, also brought a glimmer of hope to a family grieving an unimaginable loss. For Julian's family, the discovery provides a chance to finally say goodbye. Authorities had been in regular contact with Julian's family throughout the investigation, providing support and keeping them informed with every step of the way. They were described as being devastated by his loss and the circumstances surrounding his death. The family was still working through what is an horrific event. With the discovery of what they believed to be Julian's head, the family's greatest hope could finally be realized, that they could move on and have their funeral with all of Julian's remains. It is a brutal form of closure, but a necessary one. Forensic testing is being conducted to provide official confirmation so the family can finally have a measure of peace. As for Miss Cheser, she was formally charged with murder on June 27th. Her first court appearance was via video link from a secure mental health facility where she remains in custody. Bail was denied. The story of how a former reality TV star became an accused killer has shocked a community that once knew her as a charming personality. The psychological complexities, the gruesome nature of the crime, and the extensive search for a missing piece of evidence have made this a truly unforgettable case. Tamika Cheser is scheduled to return to court in December. The mystery may not be fully solved, but the truth, piece by piece, is beginning to show itself. The world saw a reality star and a beauty queen, but Port Lincoln saw a woman whose public image was a far cry from the darkness that allegedly took hold. This story is a testament to the fact that evil can be hidden in plain sight, and sometimes it takes a dog walker and his beagle to finally bring a crucial piece of the truth to light. The world chases headlines, but justice is built on the grim, painstaking search for evidence and a family's hope for a final goodbye.